Hey guys, Artosis here, bringing you another Zerg vs. Zerg. I know that you guys love it, so yeah, here we go again. You know, for the last couple of weeks, there just happens to have been a lot of Zerg best of threes. Not much I can really do about that, but thank you for tuning in. Hopefully we're gonna segue into more Terran vs. Zergs later in this turn. It's kind of getting a little bit crazy at this point, to be honest. We have had a few that were actually really good. The Fengji ones, I think most of those were actually really interesting and on a knife's edge. And then, of course, we've had a lot of bad ones, like that Arkanoid one that was, like, just, like, the worst game I've ever seen. Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny. You gotta have bad games, have good games. Okay, we don't know what this one's gonna look like, right? ZeLoT, a very aggressive player. I think that just historically, the more aggressive you are as a Zerg player, generally the better you do in Zerg vs. Zerg. But generally also the worse you do in Zerg vs. Terran, okay? That has historically been a thing where it's like your very strong Zerg vs. Terran players generally will lose in ZVZ because they're not used to, like, the killer instinct of Zergling Muta, right? Whereas the players that are, like, super good at killing other Zergs generally won't have a very good win rate against Terran because they'll just kind of, like, run out of steam. But more recently, in recent years, we've definitely seen a bridging of that where we're getting players that are excellent in both. And I think a big part of that is that aggressive Zerg play has become more the norm against Terran. We definitely still have some macro Zergs out there that play very macro-esque, such as, like, Sulky, for instance. You know, I've mentioned it 100 times. I think, you know, Zerg vs. Zerg is quite clearly why Sulky is not a Zerg, an ASL champion yet, because he's definitely that level with his ZVP and his ZVT. So just some kind of interesting things that I've noticed over the years. Some correlations with what you end up being good at and what you do not. It was always the same thing with, like, back in the day, there was a similar thing with PVZ. Where if you were good at Protoss vs. Zerg, you generally weren't that good at Protoss vs. Terran. And you can actually see that a little bit, like, for instance, with Bisu, for sure he's way better PVZ than he is PVT, right? And then you get all these people that are really good at PVT, and they're not good at PVZ, and that's because PVZ is a regular matchup, and, well, PVT is easy. Okay, anyways, enough talk about that. We're approaching 100 gas on both sides. They are doing the exact same build orders right now. Layers first. We'll see who ends up going for speed. I assume both sides will end up going for speed since they both took natural expansions and thus have more areas to attack and more larvae. It's very hard. Like, you can't make that Zergling line we're always looking at here. It's just too wide. Your opponent will break through very, very easily. So ZeLoT immediately gets a speed upgrade. Will Absolute? Yes, he will. There it is. Yeah, not a big surprise. And we'll check out where they end up on drones. So it looks like Absolute's going to be the aggressor. There's 2 more drones for ZeLoT overall. It looks like might even be 3. Wow. He's going to need to make a sunken because he's going to be, like, really down. And there it is, the creep colony going down. So as long as he has enough lings to hold until this thing is up, I think he'll be all right. But you got to be careful at this, right? Like, a 2 drone advantage. I mean, it's pretty big, but that means you do have 4 less lings, and in this case, 6 less lings because he did make the sunken colony. But the sunken colony is going to finish pretty soon. Ooh, you got to be careful of these drones. You got to be careful of these drones. Oof. Okay, more lings coming. He's trying to surround these right now. These lings taking the ZeLoT approach of going behind the minerals. Oh, Absolute. I don't know if this is going to end up working, man. Feels like ZeLoT really came out on top there. Oh, even Absolute pulling back the one Zergling that could have maybe done a little bit of harassment at the top of the mineral patches and losing it. More and more lings flooding out here for Absolute, but ZeLoT is on that same train right now. The spires are lined up very, very well. And, well, Absolute, I mean, it's clear that he's going to try to bust, but I think he already lost the value of those early lings, and we have this sunken now, which killing the sunken is incredibly hard. It 2-shots lings, has a lot of health, and has armor. But, yeah, like, maybe No, honestly, I think Absolute's going to not be able to do anything. And now we're at the same drone count. Okay, okay. How did that actually occur? They're both getting their geyser. Oh, he actually runs in and gets some snipes there. Okay, so now suddenly Absolute is up as far as drones go, but there's more lings for ZeLoT. Absolute did sacrifice some lings, and he realizes what's going on. I think he realizes that there's no way for him to hold on against ZeLoT here. It looked like he tried to go to the side to do a counterattack, maybe force ZeLoT to chase him. That's what he's doing again, but ZeLoT can actually kind of turn and just attack, and his lings should be able to kill everything, and Absolute knows that. He's too far away from the base of his opponent. Now, mutas are popping, so let's see. He needs to make sure he saves the Spire. He needs to make sure he doesn't lose too many drones as well. The lings coming in. Can Absolute hold on? Absolute's down to 9, but there's a lot of lings left over for Absolute. Okay, so this is kind of a big deal. Okay, ooh, can you get another one? No, not quite, not quite. So he's down 4 drones, but has more lings. He really needs to pull his lings up across the map immediately. But because of the sunken, if these mutas kind of chill, I don't know. Like, I mean, you can bring the mutas. It's the mutas and lings together, I think, that might give you a chance in this game as Absolute. So, like, if you fly your mutas to harass the main, he can definitely fly his mutas over to stop them. It's like 5 mutas versus 5 mutas. Both sides are making lots of Scourge. These drones actually being pulled back. He says, screw it. We're not going to lose all that economy. ZeLoT does get supply blocked. So that's something. Making a couple overlords right now. Those could have been mutas if he hadn't lost that. Absolute coming up with quite a few lings now. There's the mutas. Let's see what he's able to do. Absolute running through the mineral, the sunken towards the main mineral line, and these lings are all going to get picked off. Absolute, what are you doing? Oh, okay. He picks off like a Scourge during there, but he's losing like 8 lings to kill a Scourge. Doesn't feel quite right. All right, gets another Overlord, so causes another supply block, which is nice. Oh, God, he's a little bit too close. And, yeah, Absolute is taking way too many Scourge hits here. I think that's just going to be game. He's down to, like, no workers at all. That is really going to be that. GG. ZeLoT wins game 1.